It seems as though Overwatch has always been well acquainted with controversy. Even before the game was released, people were upset over a pose for Tracer. Over the Shoulder, which was deemed as too sexy for Blizzard, was later on removed. That's not what I'm here to talk about. There's already enough videos on the controversies of this game. Instead, I'm here to talk about all the fun things that have been removed from this game, and how it has basically died over the past years. I remember when Overwatch came out, it felt so fresh, so different, so unique of a game, that I knew I had to get it whenever it was released. But little did I know that I would be playing this game for another 5 years to come after getting it the first time. Hell, I remember first playing this game in the open beta. Every character is so different from how they feel now, and the entire game was different. Reaper used to have to pick up orbs off of people to heal, Mercy could res 5 people at once, Genji had an 8-second ultimate, and Roadhog could hook you around any single corner that he wanted. This was when Overwatch was in its infancy, and I miss it. I remember grinding and grinding Overwatch as much as I could. So much, in fact, that I even ended up getting top 500 at one point. Every character in the game felt broken to some extent, which made it balanced. Somehow, this clusterfuck of characters being overpowered made every other character feel balanced. The game felt perfect the way that it was. The fact that you could play 6 different of the same hero was a little bit different, but there was surely a way to balance it out without making people mad, right? Wrong, because Blizzard does not know anything about what their fans want. This is about where the positive praise for the game stops and the negative starts. Overwatch was one of the most toxic video games that I ever played, and I played League. Not to mention the countless exploits and glitches that came along with the game being so new. Some I actually used myself. And yes, while they were technically exploits, they still made the game more technical and have a higher skill gap. I'll show you one now. Now, some of you might be like, well, of course they removed that, you just fly so high. But that's the thing, is you still use your dash. You just get a little bit more vertical momentum, and it's more fun. And of course, being fun, it was removed. Do you remember how earlier I mentioned that you could pick 6 of the same hero, and then it was kind of strange, but still fun? That was removed as well. One of the few changes I can get behind, though I don't understand why they didn't keep it in a separate game mode or something. The early days of Overwatch, it felt like each season really meant something, with there being a 2-month gap in between each season to improve more. I, being the tryhard that I am, decided that there is no way I'm not going to get top 500 at least one time, so I used every tool available at my disposal. Thankfully, Nate was there right with me to do the same thing. Here is a screenshot of how much objective time he had on Anubis. That's right, 11 minutes in a 26-minute game. How? Just watch.
What the fuck? None of the map. Where?
For what?
Now, we still lost the game pretty badly, but damn, that was hilarious when it happened. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the nitty-gritty of Overwatch changes, such as roll queue. Ugh. So around Season 5 through 8, there was a pretty awful meta that was not fun to play with at all, called the triple tank meta. This revolved around there being 3 tanks on every single team, and it was fucking awful. It made the game so boring, it made every DPS feel useless, and it made games drag on way longer than they should. Now, instead of changing how the tanks work or how much damage DPS do, Blizzard decided to take a very radical approach and add a role queue, meaning you can only ever select 2 of each class, taking all of your creative freedoms away along with it. That means, if you want to play DPS, you have to wait around 8 to 10 minutes for a game. Or if you actually wanted to play the game like a reasonable person within a reasonable amount of time, you would just pick support or tank, because those are the only roles that you could actually find a game for. But don't worry, because if you played support or tank, you would get a pass card, which lets you get DPS about 1 minute faster.
Hamster.
My apologies, I assumed that most of you are Zoomers, so I needed to add that in to keep your attention span focused on the video. Every month that passed with Overwatch, a character was nerfed, or a character was rebalanced entirely, reworked from the ground up, every ability changed, ultimate and everything. Overwatch started to get to the point where you could no longer carry if you were really good. And if you did, then my god, you have to be the best player ever. Now the reason I still criticize changes like this is because they're taking away a single player's abilities and making them rely on their team. And you may be thinking, well, you know, it's a team-oriented game, but sometimes you just don't get teammates that know what they're doing. Or the contrary, you get teammates who think they know everything. All I can say is that you better hope your teammates are performing as well as you, because if they're not, then you're most likely going to lose. It's changes like this that draw people away from the game, make people not want to play it, make people not want to have to rely on others, especially just to have fun in a video game. It also reminds me of why we'll never have another moment like DSPS Tankade, where his character was just changed so much that the stuff that he did before wasn't possible. In the many objectives that there are in Overwatch game modes, there's one that always stuck out to me, one that was always my favorite: control points, or King of the Hills. The first player to win 3 rounds would win the game. Simple as that. I had this feature lead to so many hype moments, so many intense comebacks, so much fun and interesting and dynamic stuff happening in my games. And Blizzard must have smelled that fun, because that too was removed. You now only need 2 wins to win. It doesn't seem like a big change until you realize how much shorter the games actually are. But they didn't just change King of the Hills. They also changed the way that 2CP overtimes work, making games much shorter again. Now, while there's not anything inherently wrong with making the game shorter, this made people have the incentive to not try as hard, believe it or not. When down 1-0, many teams would just give up instead of trying to win, trying to make the comeback because, well, the game's almost over anyways. All these combinations of gameplay changes, hero changes, balance changes, and ultimate changes ultimately led to the game feeling samey, as in, it feels like other games that I've played before. It no longer felt unique, and it no longer had its own taste to it. It felt like every other game. And since the heroes all felt so similar to each other also with all the changes, going into any game basically meant I was going to have the same experience as my last game, with the meta being these certain 6 heroes that will always be in the meta for this season, and you will only see them. Solo maining was no longer viable. If you try to pick your solo main and it was somebody who wasn't in the meta that season, well, prepare to be yelled at for being a moron and not playing what works. After all, Overwatch players are so very smart.
Who the fuck is this guy? Who is this? Captain America, one, shoot, one, poop, Joe, sleep, bang, oh fuck, I'm on open mic again, fuck.
Anyways, thank you for listening to the deranged rambling of a former Overwatch player, and make sure to subscribe for random content uploaded on a random basis. Goodbye.